year's semi-final heartbreak to Sydney United, or will Melbourne Knights repeat the feat of their Croatian brethren and become the second member federation side to reach the cup final with a first win against A-League's opposition? That's the question we have the privilege of answering today, and these are the teams that will look to do it. No changes to the Melbourne Knights side that progressed in thrilling fashion, a 97th minute winner courtesy of the man who sits in the middle today in the form of Mitch Hoare. Captain Ivan Franjic leads the defence against his former side, Brisbane Roar, with whom he won 3 A-League championships. And leading the line is former Perth Glory forward Kieran Bramwell. He retains his place in the starting 11 and is looking to grab his first goal against Brisbane Roar. And speaking of the Brisbane Roar, here is Ross Aloisi's side. There is but the one change from the victorious quarter-final game against the Western Sydney Wanderers. It is a big absentee though. Henry Hoare, the brother of Mitch, misses out due to an accumulation of yellow cards, but he is replaced in midfield by Florin Berenguer of 111 Melbourne City appearance fame, a former champion as well. We saw him for the first time off the bench last week, but this is full starting bow. He'll play in midfield alongside Joe Coletti, while in defence, Tom Aldred is the captain. Fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, you can see the flags, the tifos, the fans in their abundance. David Clarkson, former NSL champion with South Melbourne. You'd be used to this sort of atmosphere. Is it going to create a problem for Brisbane today? Either way, it is going to be a cracking game.
Yeah, you're right, Lockie. It's going to be a cracking game. Great spectacle. So let's see what happens.
And one man who is going to hope he can create a cup set spectacle is that man, Ben Kahn. He is a hot property at the moment, tipped to be linked with the Central Coast Mariners job, and he formally applied for the role currently occupied by this man back in 2019, Ross Aloisi, who has brought the belief back to the Brisbane Roar. He's got them scoring for fun in the Australia Cup and looking to follow in the footsteps of Dwight York and take his new side into the final at the first time of asking. There's today's referee, Daniel Elder, who will of course have his work cut out for him in the noisy conditions and a hotly contested game, and you can see the sun is just setting perfectly over the Knights Stadium grandstand, which continues to fill as we close towards kickoff, and a penny for the thoughts of those Melbourne Knights players and that of Brisbane Roar. Of course, the prize the same for both of them today, a chance to reach the final of the Australia Cup and face off with Sydney FC for the first time. But for Melbourne Knights, it would carry just a slight bit more significance, of course, their first chance to knock off A-League's opposition, and they will have, as you can see, a grandstand and an atmosphere packed to the rafters. David Clarkson, this is set to be a very big one.
Game on, Lockie. Two really good sides, as I said earlier on, two sides that are in really good vein of form. I really think they're going to go at each other. I don't think Ben Kahn will set his team up to be too defensive. Brisbane Roar have got a really strong squad out today.
And we are underway in the semi-final. Brisbane Roar with the kickoff. And you can hear the boos coming through straight away anytime they near the broadcast side. It's going to be pretty commonplace. It's something different for the A-League's professionals to deal with today as they look to get things going early. An inviting cross into the box, whisked away by Phelps. And Morton can dig it out for the Knights. They haven't wasted a long time, the Melbourne Knights fans springing into full voice.
Great start by Brisbane Roar. You can see you're almost playing with a back two. Joe Coletti's just dropping in to be the anchor at midfield and looking to push forward when they can.
Here's a touch for Tom Waddingham, the 18-year-old who has goals in back-to-back Australia Cup games, his 4th consecutive starter. Ross Aloisi has promised to bring the youth, the Queensland youth talent back to the Roar, and Thomas Waddingham, his first project, is performing well so far. O'Shea Happy to marshal that one over the line for a Brisbane Roar throw. Aldred up the line for Armiento. Bit of a heavy touch from the Raw live wire. It's captain Tom Aldred. Not particularly pleased. He's a familiar face though. Ivan Franjic taking the throw. Three-time champion of the A-League men's with the Brisbane Roar, as we mentioned. But with no disrespect to Brisbane Roar, perhaps Melbourne Knights, the club nearest and dearest to his heart, his first ever junior side. How he would love, even if it is bittersweet, to get a massive result for them today. Jack Hingett just left it behind for Berenguer. It'll be really fascinating to see how Florent Berenguer goes in his first Brisbane Roar start today. Was rather impressive off the bench in the quarterfinal against Western Sydney. Absolutely,
Lockie. Player with a lot of quality. He's just playing in that number 10 role, just in behind. And we know what he can do. He's technically very gifted, can pick a pass, and he gets on the end of things, can score goals as well. So he'll be a big... Here he is on the ball now.
Here is the Frenchman, double teamed, and that was just enough to force him into a turnover. And now Luka Kolic has asked a task of Gian Albano. Does love to dribble and drive in these situations. He wanted to get onto the right foot, but just ran out of real estate. He was well marshalled by Jack Hingett. Not that we expect anything less from the A-League's veteran.
Well done by Jack Hingett. We gave Berenguer a rap there, Lockie, and he gave the ball away. First move into the Brisbane Roar back third from Melbourne Knights.
Waddingham, lovely turn. Melbourne Knights covering well at the moment. Ben Kahn, we spoke to him pre-game, was very coy about any links to the currently vacant Central Coast Mariners head job. He was, of course, formerly an assistant there at, would you believe, age 27. He is still only 35 by my reckoning. So, you can see why he attracts that kind of interest. It's a well-drilled side so far. I usually like to play a possession game, but I think the story is going to be slightly different against the might of Raw, you would suspect, Dave.
Yeah, well, just looking at them now, they are trying to keep the ball. Ben Collins has looked for the crossfield pass there and given it away. They've just got to try and settle into the game, put their foot on the ball, enjoy a little bit of possession. It will be difficult tonight. You would imagine Brisbane Roar will have the majority of possession.
Certainly a distinct style from perhaps the more defensively oriented brand of football the Roar became associated with last year under Warren Moon. They did have one of the best defences in the league, but of course scored only 26 goals. It's the one per game, which is pretty fallow returns for the attacking talent that they've got. This was their leading scorer, Jay O'Shea, doing some lovely work on the dribbles. Zabala couldn't quite keep the ball alive that time around.
Just been a little bit sloppy, haven't they, Raw, with their final pass? Zabala, we haven't really seen him in the game so far. Berenguer's given one or two away. We don't normally say. So Brisbane Roar also just taking a few minutes to settle into this one.
Collins through the line. It's a risky pass, but it's worked out nicely for Anthony Duzel. And now Franjic urged on by the Melbourne Knights faithful. We'll see him get up and back a fair bit in this game, and he's getting the eyes up at the moment. Doesn't like what he sees just yet. And the reverse ball in the end cut out by Louis Zabala. Back at the feet of 20-cap Socceroo Ivan Franjic. Recently appointed as the club's technical director in addition to his playing duties.
There you go.
Man of many talents, Ivan Franjic. It's It's a poor back pass from Hoare, and well, one of Ivan Franjic's many talents is knowing when is the right time to perhaps concede a foul. And
I think he worked so hard with the ball there that he just decided that he needed a little break. So it was agricultural at best from Ivan Franjic.
Really massive game today for Brisbane Roar. Of course, the dangling carrot of the cup final, but also just to continue this newfound sense of hope and optimism that Ross Aloisi has managed to bring in a very short space of time. Scored 12 goals already in their Australia Cup campaign. Only Western Sydney have managed more. And that was the very same Western Sydney side they knocked out in style last week at Perry Park. Refreshing, but haven't seen too much of them in the attack so far. Waddingham down under the challenge of Duzel. No whistle from Daniel Elder, but won back well by Berenguer. Amienso just to buy a yard. It's comfortably dealt with in the end by Josh Phelps, and Bramwell is forced into the clearance. Brisbane doing really well in those moments as Knights look to work it out from the back to just keep them hemmed in.
Yeah, we can see it's starting, the pattern's starting to form now where they're really defending deep, possession to Brisbane Roar. It'll be for Roar about being patient, keeping the structure, not giving the ball away like that.
Mitchell. Steve White, rather. It's Anthony Duzel. Speak to Ben Khan in midweek to get a gauge of how far they might stray in the face of A-League's opposition from their possession-based principles, but you can still see a side that are committed to playing it out from the back. But Raw are hemming them into their own half right now. Coletti sets a task for Hingett. Great to see Joe Coletti back in Raw colours. Of course, marked his return with a goal in the quarter-final against the Wanderers.
It's a wonderful story, actually, Lockie. I mean, he almost looked lost to the A-League. He went and spent some time in Norway and just probably struggled a little bit, just obviously as a young player. There was big tabs on him, but it's fantastic to see him running that Brisbane Roar midfield. Looks really strong, fit. Really important player for the Roar.
Certainly one who is part of the plan to repatriate and nurture Queensland talent. Amiento, cross well cut out by Ivan Franjic.
Really good test, isn't it, for the Knights? They haven't come across A-League opposition so far in the Cup. So a good test for Ben Khan and his team. And for the first 10 minutes, they've held up quite well.
Certainly be tested in these set-piece situations. You can see a bunch of players in the black of Brisbane Roar amassed on the penalty spot. Now they spread. It's over the back. Sent up into the air to no great effect. Chris Oldfield will be a very happy man to watch that one sail onto the roof of the net without much danger.
Yeah, it looked like a set play where Neville just peeled off to the far post, but just overhit, so he couldn't get it back across goal.
Phelps, risky pass. Hoare had Jay O'Shea nipping at his heels. Franjic, by hook or by crook, keeps it in his feet. And now Hoare. Coolidge, well done by Joe Coletti.
Good pressure, and that's where Knights, it's difficult for Knights. They work ever so hard to get the ball, but then they haven't got a forward pass because they're playing so deep. And as we know, Lockie, when you're working really hard off the ball to try and get it back, once you get it, it's difficult to then break forward with any sort of speed.
And Collins, again, happy to play it across the face of the back four are the Knights. Not afraid to take a couple of risks, and if it eventuates in a gap at the other end, it's a good result, or at the very least a free kick, which they will take.
Yeah, that's good. They've got to get Albano on the ball. He drifts out wide to that left-hand side, and as we know, once he receives the ball, just see it here, he likes the body contact, draws the foul. Really, really technical, important player for the Knights.
John Albano on the ball at the moment. Not a player that we've seen at the A-Leagues level, but was previously a Perth Glory youth prospect. So too was this man, Jack Morton. He played at Melbourne Victory in their National Youth League setup. So there are plenty of players in this Knights side who, while not necessarily having A-League appearances to their name, have been in and around the fringes. This is really nice play from them. Corlich, the youngster, someone who's definitely had A-League experience in front, who lined up from range, and it took a touch en route. He got the eyes up, thought, why not? And he very nearly sent this Melbourne Knights crowd into raptures.
Why not? Exactly, Lockie. When he got the leg like he was about to strike, I thought, what's he doing? He's way too far out. What a wonderful strike. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for that slight deflection, that might have been nestling in the top corner.
Well, Ivan Franjic is no stranger to a screamer. We saw him do it a lot in the A-Leagues. Wasn't quite to be that time, but he's here, sends it across the box, and there's a little cheeky flick from Josh Phelps that trails far and wide.
It's the Ivan Franjic show, Lockie. Wonderful there, header back across goal, turning back the clock. We know he's got plenty of experience. Just see that corner coming in. It was a good header back across goal, wasn't it? Didn't quite get enough on it.
And it really is. Ivan Franjic, at 36 years of age, the ripe old age, coming towards the end of his career. This is one of those moments that you look back on as a pinch yourself experience, really. To play for the side where he started as, I think, an under-10 against the team where he won championships and delighted many Brisbane Roar fans.
It'll be really special for him, his family. Full stadium here. It really is full now. It's terrific turnout by the Knights fans.
There's a crowd of 2,200 plus.
Well, we've blown that away, Lockie.
At the quarterfinal, I think we're definitely going to be surging past that stage. And Brisbane Roar silence the raucous home fans. It's just left behind for O'Shea, but picking up the pieces, Louis Zavala. Great pass to find Armiento, winding ball into the box, but it was, I believe, already out of play before it ended up in the arms of that man, Chris Oldfield. He's no stranger to playing A-League's opposition in the Australia Cup. It's part of that Hume side that made the semi-final and were knocked out by Melbourne Victory back in 2015. It was close, though. It was a tight goal.
Well played.
The Knights have managed to play through the press. Morton. Albano, deft touch for College, but just couldn't return the favour. These are the kind of moments that, if you're Melbourne Knights and you're able to break through that first line of pressure, they really need to make them stick.
Well, they've done it. The last 5 minutes, they've looked really good. And there are going to be big moments in the game for them. We saw the Franjic strike from 30 metres and then the corner. So they'll need to take those moments, but beautifully played through midfield and getting themselves into forward positions now where they're starting to look a bit threatening.
Played 15 minutes in the second semi-final of the day at Knights Stadium. Ivan Franjic has been involved in a great many of them, but I don't think inside 15, David Clarkson, we've seen a long kick out from goal.
No, both teams trying to possess the ball, which we expected, Lockie coming in. Both managers like to play with the ball on the ground, high tempo, and we're seeing that.
Collins, booming switch for Franjic, who he's had a breakneck start to this game, but that was probably, evidently, just beyond his means. Macklin Freak.
Really interesting, sorry, Lockie, just the way they play out here, Raw, just with the two at the back, and then the two fullbacks push really high to try and expose the Knights' press.
4 across the front line, and the man being asked to find them is Jay O'Shea. Interesting battle today between he and Steve White. So coaches, they don't have favourites, but Ben Kahn and Steve White have got a nearly 9-year relationship. spans his days in the Central Coast Academy, but also in the NPL Queensland with Olympic. They made 5 consecutive grand finals together, and it is Brisbane at the moment with 60% of the possession, but two sides who definitely want to keep as much of the ball as they possibly can. Aldred. Brought down really nicely by Tom Waddingham, the 18-year-old, across for Berenguer. Perhaps some pockets of space to exploit here for the Raw. Chopped inside by Mile Usnic. Knights, once again, equal to the task, and their fans are enjoying it. Hoare. Back to goal, loses out to O'Shea, who's on the march. The danger player, Jay O'Shea.
Wonderful.
A lovely dribble, a deflection, and Waddingham turns it home. The young boy on fire. Tom Waddingham, right place, right time, gets his 3rd goal in as many games, and Brisbane Roar have the lead in the semi-final.
Well, there you go. Just as Knight started to get themselves into the game, just watch it here. Although Mitch Hall was really looking for a free kick, but it wasn't. Jay O'Shea drove through, but look at the run from Waddington there. It was brilliant to give the space there. And then he was Johnny on the spot, wasn't he? Like all good strikers are. It was a beautiful run by Waddington initially. Great finish sliding in. Boy's on fire.
Thomas Waddingham, when Ross Aloisi gets asked about him in the media, he refuses to call him a boy. He's a man, even though he is 18, and legally that's true. But you can see why he is playing with a maturity and an experience really beyond his years at the moment.
Yeah, and he's a big lad. He's got the speed, the physique, all good signs. Let's not put too much pressure on him, but at the moment, scoring goals, and that's what he's there to do.
Well, the NPL side on the back foot. They will absolutely have the crowd behind them, but at the moment, Brisbane Roar in prime position. And given the closeness of the game, it was a very important goal. And perhaps the confidence is up. The tails are up for the Roar now, but that's a well-timed and read interception by Ivan Franic. Steve White slides it across the pitch for Jack Morton. Albano still yet to see the best of him in this game. Might that be about to change? Got a tough task against one of the A-League's most experienced defenders in Hingett, and can't quite find a teammate in the middle. Into the arms of Macklin Freak. Had a very solid campaign in the Brisbane Roar net. So too he should be, because his competition this year, and Matt Acton is back on the bench as of this this semi-final. What's running through the mind of Ben Khan right now as Jack Hingett takes the throw before him? Been expecting a challenge. I'd have expected that the Isuzu Ute A-League side would take the lead. I guess the question is now, what is he going to do about it?
Yeah, I think he'd be a little bit shell-shocked, actually. We didn't see that coming on the night's performance. But look, they're still absolutely in the game, plenty of time. It'll be just now, just to be solid, and when they get those opportunities, try and make the most of them and not give the ball away.
Mile Usnic can't pick out the feet of the teammate in Armiento, but now he's here on the ball. Carlo Armiento scooping it inside. Hingett just lost it on the move, and Collins is able to clear away. Of course, if there is one team in the Australia Cup that we shouldn't doubt the bounce-back ability of, it probably is Melbourne Knights.
Correct.
Given their exploits in the quarterfinal. They were 2-0 down. They looked in a world of pain against the Burgers, but well, we all know what happened from there.
That was clever then by Armiento. Dancing on the ball, little flick pass to Hingett, just got it caught under his feet a little bit.
Do you change the approach too much now if you're Ross Aloisi. Obviously the goal does change the game, but do you want to throw away those possession ideals and sit back against this team, or do you want to press for more?
No, I think with Ross it'll be continue with the same. It's really all about the performance, and if the performance is right, build on what Ross is creating here, then the goals and results will come. So whether they're winning or losing, I would imagine it'd be exactly the same.
This is good play from the Knights. Oh, Giselle left the ball behind. Over the top it goes, and Morton, the young defender, showing a cool head to give it back to Chris Oldfield. It's been really interesting inside the opening 23 minutes. Probably two of the Knights' biggest threats so far in the Cup. The two players who you would argue, David, are in Mike Cockerell medal contention in John Albano and Mitch Hall. We haven't seen too much of either so far. And here is Mitch Hall. Closed off nicely by Jay O'Shea, who I think wore a bit of the attempts of Mitch Hall to keep the ball alive. Such a good player, Jay O'Shea. 9 goals last year. Nearly a third of the entire tally that Raw managed last season. Which goes some way to say how good of a season he had, but also some way to say how difficult a season in attack it was for the Raw. But Ross Aloisi, so far, certainly helping to change that. Of course, the Australia Cup is a different competition, but I think they're halfway to their total season tally from last year now.
Yeah,
in the A-Leagues.
Yeah, obviously the difference. The new manager, he's all about playing football for a purpose, scoring goals, enjoyment.
Zabala. The intention was clever, the execution not quite matching the idea. And Josh Phelps has got to be careful here. He turned back into trouble, and I dare say that a throw is probably a good result in context. Plays pretty nicely with the ball for a 6'4" defender, Josh Phelps. That was a great switch. And now Albano.
It's quick.
He's getting the fast fibers happening. Rolls it across for Luka Korlic, the 19-year-old academy product.
Well, he showed some speed there, didn't he, Albano? And vapours coming out the back of him. Because Jack Ingett's not slow, but he really did well. I'd like to see him go one-on-one there once he gets into those positions. Start to cause Jack a few problems on that left-hand side.
Louis Zabala. Playing every single game of the Cup campaign for the Raw in a makeshift, I suppose, position at fullback, but someone who it's not necessarily natural to, has been doing an exceptional job. Away from Giroud. Scott Neville.
Nice.
Oh, threads the needle beautifully.
Brilliant.
Berenguer, Waddingham, a chance for a second. Back to Berenguer. And Waddingham, who's sung his praises so far. Perhaps he could have done the selfish thing that time around.
Oh, what a wonderful piece of play. Waddingham. He won't get in those positions too many times, and I think when he does, he's got to take the strike there. He's tried to play the little reverse pass, and really he was through on goal. Even if he hits the target there, keeper bobbles, then you've got the second ball like from when he scored.
Exactly how he scored. He took the words right out of my mouth, David Clarkson. Zabala. He's been spending a lot of time up the field. Daniel Elder awarding a free kick, much to the chagrin of the Knights faithful. We'll take another look at that chance. It was really well done right up until that moment, really.
Yeah, I think he's got to take a strike there. He's through on goal, tried to do the unselfish thing. Knights were back in numbers to clear the danger. But again, good signs for Ron.
Given what he's been able to do so far today, Tom Waddingham, Ross Aloisi will let him have that one. He might double his money from this free kick. It's a little bit shallow from Armiento and knocked away by the Knights.
Jay O'Shea starting to run things in midfield now, getting his foot on the ball a lot. He'll always create problems with his passing range. We saw him get into forward positions as well.
And that touches in the opposition box statistic we can see in the top left is starting to grow in favour of Brisbane Roar, and Jay O'Shea, certainly not least for the goal that currently separates the two sides, has played a pretty active hand in that.
Looks like we've got some Raw supporters over there in that far corner as well, lucky where the free kick's about to be taken, which is nice to see.
See the orange flags. If you're a Brisbane Roar fan, you couldn't be in a better position at Knight Stadium for this particular free kick. And there is plenty of movement in and around the penalty area. That's to aim at for Carlo Armiento. Where is this heading? In swinging, or it might even be direct, and Chris Oldfield, I think, was called into action. Tried to catch the keeper out at his near post, did Carlo Armiento. And Chris Oldfield, a wise head, was just about equal to the task. Yeah. It was close.
It was a beautiful free kick, wasn't it? Oldfield did really well to put it over the bar, but he's got a cannon in that left foot, Armiento. Great strike.
Corner duties now for Carlo Armiento. He went so close before. He's going to try and do the same thing again. And I tell you what, I reckon he hit the exact same spot on the crossbar.
Well done again by Oldfield.
O'Shea into the box. Aldred swing and a miss on the flick. This Irish midfielder is going to give him a bit of a chop out. Brisbane Roar really starting to dictate this game right now. Of course, do have a semi-final defeat to Sydney United last year still lingering in their minds. They won't be able to add to their tally from this position. So we'll just take another look at these free kicks from Carlo Armiento. The first one was vicious, and then the corner, they were almost exactly the same spot. It would be a matter of centimetres.
Waddingham did well on the first one, as he knew exactly where that was going. He put Oldfield under immense pressure. But we know Armiento can deliver, and he delivered twice there.
Phelps across goal. Albano cut out nicely by Coletti. Scooped over the top for the Raw midfielder. Comes to naught in the end. Had an interesting relationship with the Australia Cup. Brisbane Roar, it was not their favourite competition in the early iterations. They went out at the round of 32 stage, I think, in 4 consecutive years, but they've been growing. Semi-final last year. On track for a finals berth against Sydney FC. But there is still plenty of football left to play, and Knights are up and about. And we've got a bit of space to work with here. It's Mitch Hoare across for College. The Knights fans urging them on. Franjic just didn't get it in the desired position. And he's not too happy with his young teammate. Now that was a kind of breakaway that the Knights need more of.
Yeah, it was Armiento again involved, wasn't it? And they really got at the back four of Brisbane Roar. Sorry, it was Mitch Hoare there, and this overlap by Franjic just needed it rolled in front of him. College just put it in behind him, and the move was dead. Good move by the Knights.
Certainly seeing the lines of this game get a little more stretched than perhaps the tight stuff we saw pre-opening goal from Thomas Waddingham. O'Shea has been just about everywhere so far. Mienzo loses out to Phelps. He's still on the turf, Carlo Mienzo. Well intercepted by Liosnich. It's just the second time Melbourne Knights have played against A-League's opposition in the Australia Cup. And Nikola Liosnich has played in both. He's a substitute for Adelaide back in 2019 when the Reds won 5-2 here. I reckon the crowd that day, which was big and boisterous, might well be eclipsed by what we're seeing in 2023. I would be a lot more satisfied if the Knights could find a leveller. They're starting to show a few more signs of promise. Dozell. Careful passing. Intricate play. Nothing that can breach the Brisbane defence just yet. Franic. Bornau has denied the chance to play with his younger brother, or play against his younger brother, Henry, today. Of course, suspended for the Raw. They played one another before in the NPL Victoria, where Henry spent a season with South Melbourne.
It's got a little passage here, lucky from Melbourne Knights. Just enjoy enjoy a little bit of possession. Make it all work without the ball.
Commentator's curse. Yep. Welcome to the club, David Clarkson.
Yeah, it's sloppy.
Prior to that, it was a very good move, and it does seem as though there were a couple of frantic minutes after they conceded that first goal to Thomas Waddingham, but maybe the nerves, the temper, the emotion has just settled, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like we said, they probably didn't see that coming, so it rocked them on their heels, but they've worked their way out of it. Now it's really important that they start to create some opportunities moving forward.
Booming ball right down the guts from Chris Oldfield. It's going to work out for the Knights in the end. Franic. Everyone gets up and about when he's on the ball, and we nearly saw a very good example of why. That was a clever pass in search of Kieran Bramwell. Just a fraction past the feet of the former Perth attacker.
Well, we can see with Franic, he gets in these positions on the left-hand side where he's got plenty of room. He doesn't have the leg speed now to go around the outside, so he looks to cut inside, play little combinations.
Phelps. Bouncing ball, never what you want to see as a keeper, but Chris Oldfield has done well with that, and Luka Korlic, the 19-year-old, has done well to win the free kick, courtesy of Louis Zabala. Hands in the back. I think Louis Zabala might have been playing a different sport for a second there. Get confidently back to Macklin Freak. Round of applause for the way his side managed to just keep Raw at bay as they built out from the back. Macklin Freak forced into a pretty askew clearance out of his box. They are doing a really good job, the Raw, of when they do win back possession, they move and they spread at some speed, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. And we've got to remember that both teams are at different stages. Obviously, Melbourne Knights at the end of the season, and Raw still building into their season. So there will be some inconsistency with the Raw, but Melbourne Knights have looked really good in this last 5 minutes or so.
Coletti. Side to Aldred, Brisbane Roar's reigning player of the season. Great year and what was a very solid Roar defence. O'Shea, great vision. Zabala making the run in behind. And he's done an excellent job to keep it alive. In it goes for Waddingham. At full stretch, Ben Collins thumps it away for a Brisbane corner.
Well, it was awkward, wasn't it? Let's say that. But it's the first time really Zabala we've seen him. I'd like to see him more in those forward positions because he's certainly got room. It was Joe Coletti that found him on that occasion. Just went in behind College, super little ball in. But you can see there where Knights start to press and then Roar play through the press, that's when they can look dangerous. And Melbourne Knights, as this game goes on, will have to start pressing.
Brisbane Roar searching for a second, all the way across the face of goal. Prodded clear by the Knights' defence. Suspect it'll be coming back in the opposite direction. Zabala twists and turns, but can't get the beating of Mitch Hoare. For himself, he's found quite a bit of traffic in the black of Brisbane. It's crossed in by Armienzo. How he managed to find a yard in that space.
Well, that was ugly. It was almost a game of Sheva in the corner there. Nobody could seem to get their foot on the ball to get it out. It was very tight, and then the ball came in to no avail.
Scott Neville signed a 2-year extension with Brisbane Roar, Premier League's veteran. I think is going to see him tick past the 300 games mark in the season. Replaced Kai Truan in the quarter-final. Coming in the centre of defence now, alongside Tom Aldred. Armienzo, first time ball for Louis Zabala. Great job by Ivan Franjic. Kind of defending that opposition fans would be very accustomed to seeing in years gone by.
Pressure there from Waddington. The man works really hard when he hasn't got the ball. Obviously got a great engine. Drew the mistake there. Well done.
What's even harder to believe about Thomas Waddingham, not the fact that he is only 18 and he's playing the way that he is, but he's only started training with the senior side in this pre-season. He was not quite going to ever connect with that one. It was over his head, but picking up the pieces was Armienzo. Coletti. Roar really enjoying a prolonged spell on the ball, hoping to finish the first half with a wet sail. Hingett past his reach. Collins all the way back to Macklin Freak. Delicately poised semi-final in front of us at the moment. Melbourne Knights would be wanting to keep the scoreline at just the one heading into the break. Brisbane, without a doubt, searching hammer and tong for the second and doing it in a really nice fashion. And that one from Jack Hingett, who we are seeing him get up quite a lot out of fullback. The defender was able to get an effort on goal, but nothing that really troubled Chris Oldfield.
Lovely little combination. Good strike. It's not his strongest foot. Again, Waddingham just there looking for the scraps, as every good striker does.
Continues to take those advanced positions. This time he's just been a fraction overzealous. Jack Hingett, 32-year-old, shown plenty of youthful zeal and zip, trying to chase down that 50-50, but not without giving away the free kick. Risky ball, Waddingham,
Great ball.
sent wide for Mile Uznic, who gets the eyes up, stands it up. Armiento was ready and waiting, but Phelps first to the scene of the crime. Those are the moments in which Knights have got to be careful. Brisbane have looked a real threat every time they've been able to force the turnover in front of the back four.
Giselle on the ball there. We haven't seen a lot of him tonight. Normally likes to dictate play in the midfield. It's been a little tight in there for him.
Morton. Melbourne Knights have one more attack in them to close out this first half, which has been a real tactical battle. There hasn't been an awful lot in it. But Brisbane Roar have edged the play, edged the chances, and they've made all of that happen in the one area that counts. They've found a goal through Thomas Waddingham. Ben Khan, so he's not disguising his thoughts towards the fourth official. He's got his work cut out for him at half-time. There'd be any specific tweaks, changes you'd suggest to him, David Clark?
No, I don't think. I think Ross would be the one that'd probably be a little bit disappointed with the Raw performance. Whilst they've dominated possession, they've looked a little bit sloppy at times. And Melbourne Knights, obviously, apart from the goal, haven't looked out of place at all. It'll just be when they get into those forward positions, set pieces. They'll need to take their chances because there won't be many.
Towards stoppage time we go. And Frunjic. He's not going to leave this semi-final dying wondering. So much of the Knights' play has come through him. It's not something we expect to change in the second half necessarily. And for 36-year-old, he does such a wonderful job still of getting up and back. You can see just in the background on the right shoulder, or left now, of Ross Aloisi, the son of a Socceroo and a former Melbourne Knights player in Jonas Markovski. Of course, his father, John, an NSL champion with Melbourne Knights and a 20-cap Socceroo. He's a new signing, familiar to the Knights, an NPL Victoria Golden Boot. Won't get to see him make his Raw debut later. 2 minutes of additional time added on by Lockie Keevers, and maybe Knights can set a cat amongst the pigeon in those stoppage time minutes, but Kolic has just been a little bit too keen and clattered through the Royal player. In fact, it was Kieran Bramwell who just cleared out Florent Berenguer.
Yeah, again, it was another good move. Mitch Hoare involved, but again, just not enough numbers forward. They're just defending so deep, finding it really difficult to break with any pace. So it tends to become a 1-on-4, 2-on-5 perhaps in Raw's favour.
Still plenty of belief for the Knights heading into the second half, certainly amongst the faithful. Have a look at that sunset in the background.
Stunning.
You could scarcely ask for a better Australia Cup semi-final picture. We're getting decent battle so far between NPL and A-League's opposition. Phelps took a touch on the way through. Frunjic has Paolo Amiento nipping at his heels, trying to work the angle. He nearly managed to turn out of a phone box there, Ivan Franjic. What a throw for the hosts in the end, so nothing said and done. A really good job. Not the first time we've seen the ball just locked into this specific area of the pitch, is it? But if it stays there, Brisbane Roar won't mind. As things stand, they are on course to reach the Australia Cup final for the first time. Ross Aloisi isn't grinning from ear to ear just yet. There is still work to do, but Thomas Waddingham's goal for now is the difference. The youngster scoring his third goal in as many games to put Brisbane Roar in the box seat, but there is still plenty to be done here at Knights Stadium. The halftime score here in Sunshine, Melbourne Knights 0, Brisbane Roar 1.
Yeah, the Brisbane Roar beautifully placed to make it through to the Australia Cup final for the first time in their history. Can the Melbourne Knights turn things around and cause a cup set against the odds? We'll find out when the second half commences. After the break, all the analysis from the first 45 coming your way. Well, the Ross Aloisi era is in its infancy, but it continues to track in the right direction. Ross might not be happy, but his team's up 1-0 at the break. Thomas Waddingham, the scorer. Big 45 minutes coming up, though. Nice crowd there at Knights Stadium. Beautiful evening on a Sunday in Melbourne. They'll be hoping for a cup set, but as it stands, Brisbane Roar lead 1-0, and they are eyeing off a place in the Australia Cup final in 2023, where Sydney FC awaits. Alex Brosk and Daniel McBreen, they haven't quite asked enough questions, the NPL side of the Melbourne Knights, of the Roar so far, have they?
No, not really. I think the Roar are doing well to keep them pinned in their half. And to their credit, I mean, they are trying to play their style, their game, playing up from the back, which at times has seen them lose possession. The Roar are pinching a lot of stray passes and cutting them out. And if not for some crispness in that final third, there could have been more. So I think they need to be a little bit careful, Melbourne Knights, with that, with their playing out. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with just trying to turn the Roar around and get them in their half. But look, again, they're playing their style, they're playing their way, and they do look likely at times when they go forward.
There's a wonderful story brewing in Brisbane, and that is young Thomas Waddingham. We don't want to get too over the top with things or put too much pressure on him.
Yep.
But when an 18-year-old striker who is still raw in his build is getting on the score sheet with the regularity that he is, and let's just be honest, Jay O'Shea creates this goal, but he's in the right place to finish it yet again. As a teenager, he's getting Brisbane Roar fans excited.
Hey, look, as a striker, you don't care if they go flying in from 30 yards or they're a tap-in after someone's done all the hard work, and Jay O'Shea does the hard work, but he's there. He's alert, he's ready, and he's first to react, and he gets his third goal in 3 games. He's got all the attributes, we don't want to get too, like you say, too ahead of ourselves, but he's got all the attributes. He's scoring goals, and it's refreshing to see another young kid coming through.
He looks like he belongs. I mean, there's no aspect of him that seems to be overwhelmed by the situation. He looks very comfortable.
He does, which is surprising for such a young kid, but he doesn't look fazed by the occasions or the players that he's got around him. But it's good to see him getting an opportunity, which we heard from Ross earlier today, especially at a time in the A-League when we rely a lot on imported strikers and foreign players. To see a young kid not only getting a go but taking his chances, and he's been scoring for fun, really putting a lot of pressure on Aloisi to start the season, and I think it's refreshing. It's great to see.
Let's take a look at the Brisbane Roar chances, and Jay O'Shea, we've been speaking off air about his quality. Carlo Amiento's another one who just provides options for the Brisbane Roar. He's a wizard with his left boot, isn't he?
Well, he's one of the only players that I know that constantly shoots from corners, and I think he had some success with it last year. Maybe got 2 goals direct from corners last year, and you can see as soon as he gets any kind of a free kick area that they go and get around the keeper because they know his delivery is going to be so good. Any little glance could be a goal, but they've got players who look confident going forward now. They could put good delivery into the box. They're combining well like this in those wide areas, and that's something we hadn't really seen of Brisbane for quite a while now.
Is Jay O'Shea one of the most underrated players in the competition for you?
Well, not anymore. I think we all understand and appreciate how good he is.
Should he be spoken about at a higher level, though, with the absolute best in the comp?
Yeah.
He may be hidden away there in Brisbane.
I think it's just the fact that he's been in a team that hasn't done as well as he'd like. I think he's such a good... You put him in any other of the top teams in the last couple of years, and he is probably Player of the Year. So I agree in that respect. I think we probably take for granted just how good he is, but we're seeing now with the attacking flair that they seem to have, we're probably going to see a lot more from him this year.
So Brisbane have had the better of the first half, but they haven't put the Knights away, and I guess that will be the concern for Ross Aloisi. Melbourne Knights, perhaps they have another level to go to in the second half. They showed some glimpses. They're going to have to show a little bit more to get back into this game, but they're still in it.
Yeah, look, at 1-0, even 2-0, if it goes to 2-0, you still know that anything can change. And Brosby spoke about Melbourne Knights playing their style, and you wonder how long into the game do they go, and then do they have a plan B where they might go a little bit more direct? But they had a couple of chances early on. If they can win some corners or some free kicks early up the pitch, you can see there that they have the capabilities of winning those headers and on balls in. So don't write them off. This is a good sweeping move as well, but it's just that last pass. If that was played in front of Franic, and you can see what he's saying, playing in front, and he plays the first-time ball across the goal, and that's a dangerous play.
You can see Ivan Franic was involved in just about every single Melbourne Knights opportunity, the former Socceroos star, so he's still got it, that is for sure, the Knights skipper. But Brisbane Roar certainly in control, but not out of sight, and it is set up with all that in mind for a fascinating second half ahead as we try and see who books their place in the Australia Cup final for 2023 alongside Sydney FC, who beat Melbourne City 2-1 earlier today in what was a top-class contest, and it was Patrick Wood who continued his brilliant cup form, Broski, that got them going.
It was Paddy Wood, 4 goals in his 4 cup games and doing a real good job, especially with the threat of that big Brazilian boy sitting on the bench behind him. He just keeps scoring goals and doing well. And Joe Ollie as well, picking up sort of where he left last year, cutting inside onto that left foot and scoring screamers. So Sydney are looking good outside of this chance here to McLaren, which gave Sydney a few nervy moments at the end. But they look good. They look in control for most of that game, Sydney, and well-deserved to be in the grand final.
Yeah, so they're eyeing off their second Australia Cup triumph. Brisbane Roar are trying to make it through to the final for the first time in their history. We know what the Melbourne Knights will do. They've got to go at it here. There's nothing to lose for them. They have to try and get at Brisbane. What does Ross Eloise do? What would his tactical plan be, do you think, in the second half?
I think it's going to be more of the same. Keep the ball, don't let them have them. Try and smother them higher up the pitch when they try to play out. Try and win the ball high up the pitch. And when you do that, let's be a little bit more clinical, like Broski said, in that final third. Let's finish them off, do it early. I said the first 20 minutes would be crucial. It was 18 minutes when they scored that. I think the first 10 to 15 in the second half will be crucial too. If they can get a second goal in that time, that'll really kill Melbourne Knights' hopes of going through.
Yeah, we might see Jonas Markovski as well come off the bench in the second half for the Brisbane Roar. He looms as an exciting player for them moving forward. Second half is not too far away. Neither is, of course, the upcoming A-League season.
Driving into the box. Oh! Nestori Iraconda. Here's turn, shoot! Oh my goodness, what a goal! What a strike from Gio Colli. Now Madison Haley for the finishing touch, and she's got it. And now the celebrations can really begin. 10 years in the making. The fairy tale is complete. The Central Coast Mariners, champions of Australia.
Welcome back to Knight Stadium in sunshine. A delicately poised semi-final of the Australia Cup sees the A-League side 1-0 ahead against NPL opposition. Brisbane Roar leading Melbourne Knights, courtesy of Thomas Waddingham. That man you can see just in the background there scored his third goal in as many games for the Roar to separate the sides. But beyond the opener, it has been a very tight affair here at Knight Stadium in front of a epic atmosphere. And the crowd, which, let's face it, is of a heavy Melbourne Knights persuasion, will look to will their side towards an equaliser and maybe even more. We will have a first-time entrant into the Australia Cup final at the end of this game, but we're still yet to see whether it'll be the A-Leagues or the NPL team that does it. David Clarkson, it's Brisbane Roar with the advantage, but it's been a tight game so far. Melbourne Knights certainly haven't lost the hope just yet.
No, absolutely not. It was interesting, nearly 50-50 on the possession stats, which was interesting. Ross Aloisi would have been saying, let's really push on now, put the foot on the throat, take this game away from the Knights. The Knights will be looking to get themselves back in the game.
Wouldn't be complaining, Ben Khan's side, about an early free kick. Deep position, curled well, flicked on by Bramwell from the edge of the box. Always asking a bit with the header. We did, of course, see an absolutely brilliant header against Melbourne Knights last week, courtesy of Kane Shepherd, one of the great team goals of the Australia Cup, that David Clarkson. I know it was one of your personal favourites.
It was a ripping goal, Kane Shepherd. Yeah, the build-up to that was really exciting. But just, again, that set piece, it's just got to be hit into a really good area where you start to put pressure on the Roar defence.
Roar starting to spread the field. Mile Josnic drives it across the box, only to the feet of Ben Collins. Get a second chance here, Mile Josnic. Patient play in and around the penalty area from the Roar. Second goal early doors in the second half would really dash the hopes of the NPL outfit. Of course, former NSL champions Melbourne Knights, this their 70th year anniversary season. The Australia Cup final would be a pretty good way to end it. This would be their last game if it all comes to a close with the present scoreline. Ben Khan has done a fantastic job revitalising this side, getting them back into finals in the NPL. They're facing a stern test at the moment. Mile Josnic curls it in, but the end result is the same. Ben Collins, side puts it away. And Kieran Bramwell used his body well to win a pressure-relieving free kick for Croatia. Phelps. In Australia, a boy from Tamworth for the first time in a long time. He spent a number of years playing in the USL, second division in America. We've seen a couple of players make the journey from Australia to that league recently, and to Canada as well. The Australian football export market is really growing at the moment.
It's hard to keep a handle on it all. Don't have enough hours in the day.
Ross Aloisi has been at least not anymore, but he was a part of that last year, of course, spending time in Japan as an assistant to Kevin Muscat. It's a year that really has shaped his footballing philosophies. Him a descendant of the Ange Postecoglou coaching school indirectly, or
by default I would suggest yes.
It's more of a family tree. Well, whatever he's learnt from Kevin Muscat, it is working well for the Roar right now. Ball in behind, Amienso tests the palms of Chris Oldfield, but it would have been a moot point had it bowled to the back of the net. The offside flag was up against the 24-year-old Raw attacker. Didn't think twice about shooting, though.
No, good strike. Speaking of Australian managers, Lockie, we have our best tonight in the North London derby. Tottenham and Arsenal. Should be an absolute cracker. Looking forward to that one.
Man who probably feels like just yesterday would have managed a couple of games here. Over the top for Albano, who's bought a yard. John Albano. That was probably the night's biggest chance of the game. And unfortunately, for one of their most dangerous players, John Albano, it just ballooned over the goal. What a ball this was from Steve White.
Great ball, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do. Just lift it over Hingett. Just couldn't keep his knee over the ball to keep it down. But he's the outlet. Albano is the outlet, and if he can't get the ball out wide, he needs to drift into that number 10 position where he gets on the ball more frequently.
Big chance here on the break. Armiento thwarted excellently by Ben Collins. He's had a taste of A-Leagues football, of course, with Western United. Most of his appearances with the club came in the Australia Cup. It was part of their championship season, though. Showing he's still got plenty to give at the upper echelons of the Australian game, Ben Collins, so far. Bramwell. A floaty header. There's Collins again. Putting it away. That has been really his main job so far, Ben Collins. Josh Phelps does the passing out from the back, and Ben Collins tries to knock it as far from goal as possible.
He's more that old style one-on-one defender. Here we go.
Nice ball up the line by Hingett. Mileušnić, his influence on the game is growing. The cross, an inviting one. And safety first from Ivan Franjic with Carlo Armiento just sitting and waiting on his shoulder. I think the former Brisbane Roar man made the right call.
Yeah, just starting to turn the screw a little bit. Brisbane Roar looking for a fast start, kill this game off. Take it to 2-0. Be very difficult for the Knights to come back.
Jay O'Shea on corner duties. We saw Carlo Armiento send in some really dangerous ones. This one, no exception! And Neville got up and I think might have got a little bit more of an opposition player than he did the ball. Ben Collins and Scott Neville both in a heap as it currently stands. The Raw defender looking worse for wear at the present moment.
It's a great ball in by O'Shea. Let's watch it on the replay. Oh, clash of heads. It's quite nasty. Hopefully they're okay.
Doesn't matter what angle you watch that one from, it doesn't get any easier to view. Ben Collins at least is up onto his feet, but Scott Neville might just need a little bit more time to steady himself. Not a player they would want to lose, Ben Collins. Nor two, Ross Aloisi with Scott Neville. 54th minute. Ben Khan is going to be the manager first to blink where substitutes are concerned, and it is the 50-cap Curaçao international Javara Nepomuceno who has come on as a substitute in all 4 now of the Knights Australia Cup games and shown some real quality in flashes off the bench, who replaces the youngster Luka Korlic.
Yeah, good move, like that. Seen what this man can do. He's very dangerous. Super quick. He'll be looking to make an impact as he did in other games when he's come on, Lockie.
Really fascinating story is Javaro Nepomuceno, a Curaçaoan international, as we mentioned, where he played alongside some A-League talents in years gone by, not least Rolly Bonavacia, who's a fan favourite over the stretch. I'm told, though, that since signing for the club, he's been living in the house of the brother of Parvez Yusuf, who is the president of Melbourne Knights.
There you go.
He's a well-travelled player, and of a different experience, the President's Brothers house, while you play for his club. But it's the kind of quirkiness and beauty of the NPL. To the top it goes. Phelps and Collins got a little bit mixed up there. Here's Milosnic. Great block from Jack Morton. Milosnic, a side of goal. Did not hesitate. Fortunately for the Knights, who were just hanging on a little bit at the moment. Jack Morton was equal to the task, but he was sold a bit short by his central defenders.
He was. It was Waddingham again, just busy.
Hingett. Nice little run. Lost out to the double Knights coverage. Milosnic. Well, it was a speculator. He had some real dip. Chris Oldfield, I think, was maybe just a fraction nervous. It looked great off the boot.
It looked like it was going way over, but you're right, Lockie. The dip, the knuckleball. Cristiano Ronaldo style. Milosnic. Wonderful strike. Oldfield, just for a moment, thought, could do a little bit of strife here.
It's not a stranger to an Australia Cup goal. Milosnic currently sitting 9th in the all-time tally. Brisbane starting to get a couple more shots on the board in this second half. Doubled Melbourne Knights' efforts so far. Or that's the big difference, though, isn't it? 6 shots to 3, but they've been able to get them all, or get more rather, on target. Brisbane Knights haven't been able to manage a single one on goal just yet. They were nearly given a free look at it before. But the promising sign for Ben Khan's side is that we're starting to see a little bit more of Jan Albano, perhaps.
Yes, exactly.
Was there a hand there by Milosnic? Yes, there was. And if it was decided in the court of public opinion, the whistle may well have come a lot sooner.
That was late.
Another strong challenge. Brisbane playing to the whistle. Armiento denied at the near post by Chris Oldfield. And Mitch Hoare is going to go into the book for the challenge in midfield. Good advantage in the end by Daniel Elder.
You're right. It was a terrific advantage by Elder. It was a late challenge by Mitch Hall. We'll see it on the replay. Ended up breaking forward raw. Armiento with a strike. Just watch this tackle here. He just goes in very late. He's quite lucky there, actually. The studs were up. See if he catches him. Just right on the ankle. A nasty one for O'Shea.
O'Shea still receiving treatment. As we have a look at that handball before, it was a fairly open and shut case. I appreciate the endeavour from Nikola Milosnic, but I don't think anyone at Knight Stadium was buying what he was attempting to sell.
Not in this day and age. You're not getting away with that one. That is not a natural silhouette.
Corner for the Roar. Towards the penalty spot. Collins glances it away. Armiento battling with Frunjic. Body to body. And legally done in the eyes of Daniel Elder. The substitute Nepomuceno getting his first real chance on the ball. It's quite a formidable right side now. Nepomuceno pairing up with Ivan Frunjic. Bit of a heavy touch though.
Handball.
But, well, it's a fortune for Javara Nepomuceno. Heavy touch that he thought had lost him the ball is in the end won him a free kick in what is for Knights a fairly promising position.
Yeah, it was Armiento with a hand. Now, this will be an in-swinger. Needs to be put into a really good area. Send all the full timber forward, the Knights.
Have indeed sent the bodies forward. It's an in-swinger, but just a fraction short. Mitch Hoare to Steve White. Nepomuceno for Phelps. The central defender has stayed forward. Help them create something. Nepomuceno trying to jink one way, then the other. A great cross, and Franjic was up, but never connected. Oh, what a moment that would have been. Ivan Franjic against his old side for his boyhood side to level it.
Well, he stayed up from the corner, but it was Nepomuceno. He's looked busy since he's been on. A wonderful curling cross. Ivan Franjic couldn't quite direct it on goal.
And Raw making a substitute of their own. Carlo Armiento, the man who comes off for Alex Parsons, who we've seen come on off the bench for a number of occasions. He's no stranger to finding an important and late goal. Of course, he did it against Brisbane. An equaliser for Sydney FC in stoppage time, but now he's back in Raw colours. We saw him score in extra time in the round of 32 to edge the Raw past the Jets. I think Ross Aloisi is probably bringing him on, just hoping that he might be able to repeat the trick this time around. Could use a second goal. O'Shea. It's really nicely covered by the Knights midfield. Jack Morton. Whites for Nepomuceno. Managed to keep it clear of a couple of Raw defenders, but eventually the numbers tell. I did hear a crowd figure read out over the PA system before, but admittedly, it was hard to hear with all the noise from all the fans. Official confirmation of the crowd today. 5,184 fans in the house. A bumper crowd here in Sunshine for the semi-final. Which doesn't quite put it inside the top 20 in Australia Cup all time, but it is a monster effort from Raw and Knights fans alike today. Those of the Knights' persuasion will become oh so important as they look for an equaliser. Second ball by Coletti, but the flick wasn't enough to deceive Steve White. Nepomuceno driving at Parsons. To the left, back to the right. Nepomuceno hooks. And it's tight. It's really tight. But it's a free kick for Melbourne Knights. Credit the industry, the endeavour of Javaro Nepomuceno. He kept twisting and turning, and eventually he came up with a reward.
He's such a tidy player on the ball. He's going to take this free kick as well. It's a big moment for the Knights.
Certainly has seen the Knights fans pick up their voice. Expectation at the feet of Nepomuceno, who drives it into the first man. Flicked away by Parsons, only as far as Mitch Hoare. The Raw numbers close, and Knights are in trouble here. It's Cam Parsons on the break. Plenty to aim at. He may well go himself, and the touch was heavy. Oh my, oh my. Melbourne Knights have hung on. It may have come at some personal cost to Chris Oldfield,
Yeah.
who can barely stand at the moment. But Brisbane Roar made a meal of what should have been a second goal. And now the Knights charge forward, and it is a free kick. 25 yards from goal, directly in front, but well, attention now turns to Chris Oldfield, who is in real pain. And there's wounded warriors at both ends. Albano down on the edge of one penalty box, and Oldfield on the deck in another.
Wow.
And at this point, you were thinking for sure Brisbane are finding a second, but Cam Parsons showed a bit too much to Oldfield.
It's dangerous. His first touch was heavy. He managed to get on the end of it. His second touch was really heavy. I think he's really hurt Oldfield there, but what a fantastic opportunity for Parsons, who's just come on the pitch. He'll be disappointed with that, or he'll certainly be disappointed that he couldn't make more of that. Hopefully Oldfield's okay. Now Knights, sorry Lockie, have got themselves a free kick at the other end.
Be quite the turn of events if Melbourne Knights were forced to sub their keeper at one end but score an equalising goal from the free kick at the other. Cup magic necessarily, but certainly cup eccentricity. The Knights have Jakob Wiseman, reserve keeper, to call on should they need him. As we take another look at the incident that led to the free kick. It was a strong collision between Oldfield and Parsons in the earlier instance, and Scott Neville certainly wasn't leaving anything to the imagination in the follow-up challenge as well.
No, and he also gave it to Parsons for not making more of that really, really good opportunity.
Chris Oldfield is at the very least back on his feet, but still clutching at that hamstring, and I wonder if Ben Kahn is just starting to think about whether or not he needs to turn to reserve keeper Jakob Wiseman on the bench. He has already featured in the Australia Cup campaign for the Knights in the round of 32, back when, you can believe this, David Clarkson, Chris Oldfield was enjoying a 2-week holiday in Europe in the middle of the season.
As you do.
Would that have flown back in your day?
No, you're not getting away with that.
Well, at the very least, he is back up onto his feet. Jakob Wiseman not needed for now. And receives a hearty round of applause from the Knights fans, whose attention and, I dare say, expectation will turn to this free kick.
Well, their last three, Lockie, have been poor. They haven't cleared the first man. Now it's about clearing this wall in a really good position. Epipasima over it with Franic.
Some very solid takers at their disposal. Grant Franic, we know he's got an eye for the spectacular. Nepomuceno struck the frame of goal with an effort in the quarterfinal. Steve White scored a free kick from almost this exact spot in the Doherty Cup semi, so plenty of likely options. Can any of them find the nets? It's Nepomuceno. It didn't look terrible off the boot, but just never got the dip that he may well have desired.
Well, he looked confident. Yeah, but that one you got to take up and over, at least keeper to make a save. Roar going to the bench again.
Double substitution for the Roar, and quite a momentous one. Taras Gamulka is coming onto the field of play to replace Joe Coletti. And the other half of the double substitution is going to see a debut for a very familiar name, Jonas Markovski, the son of John. More on him later as Thomas Waddingham leaves the field. We'll take another look at his finish. An opportunistic one in that separates the sides, but this 18-year-old has really caught the eye in the Australia Cup campaign for the Roar. Oldfield launches it away. Jonas Markovski, one of that substitute duo with Taras Gamulka, making his Raw debut in place of Thomas Waddingham. No stranger to the Melbourne Knights, though. Spent the season in the NPL Victoria with Altona, where he was Players' Player of the Season and Golden Boot with 19 goals, one of which came at Knights Stadium against today's hosts for Altona Magic, where his father John, 20-cap Socceroo, former Knights championship winner, is the head coach.
Yeah, he had a terrific season. In not the best team, obviously, in the NPL, and scored a bag of goals, all sorts of goals, headers, long bombs, and here he is now on the book.
Markowski driving wide. O'Shea. The critical juncture of the game as we head towards the final 20. Second for the Roar. Might just put it beyond the reach of the NPL outfit. They're going to give their opponents a tantalising opportunity to double their money from this free kick.
Just quickly going back to Jonas Markowski before this free kick. What a wonderful moment for him and his family, though. I'm sure his dad's here.
Sure, he's wearing a big smile wherever he is. Have a Cheshire Cat grin if his son gets on the end of this free kick, which is well shaped, and it was Markowski who connected. That would have been a dream start to life at the Roar.
Wow.
That's actually probably been one of the big differences in this game. It's been quite close, penalty box to penalty box, but the free kicks, as we see, what a vicious delivery from Jay O'Shea. It's probably been the one fundamental area of difference in quality.
That was a top ball in. Markowski will be disappointed. Plenty of time to get his head on the ball, and it's a bit of shoulder head. Didn't hit the target. Good opportunity.
Hingets sends it upfield for the substitute Gamulka. More of a defensive presence, but he's found a really nice attacking pass for Berenguer. O'Shea. Now it's wide, played into the middle, across the face, Milejuznic! It should have been 2 for Brisbane Roar, and the reason it wasn't is because there was a faint touch off the Knights' defence. Milejuznic, who has gone close a couple of times, was a whisker away once more. Great cross from Louis Zabala to pick him out as well.
It was a good strike, wasn't it? Markowski was on for a little cutback as well. The deflection was enough.
The pressure building on the Knights' defence. In at the near post. Aldred just was at 6s and 7s as the ball came corkscrewing towards him. Another change for the Knights. And it's a substitution that in the quarterfinal worked to very good effect for them. Former Swedish under-19 international Lars Kinander onto the field to replace Kieran Bramwell, so the number 9 coming on for a number 9. Mid-season signing for the Knights from Werribee City, scored the 91st minute equaliser that set up the epic comeback against Heidelberg in the quarterfinals. Milejuznic back to Hingett to try and wrap his boot around the ball. Instead he goes short to Milejuznic. Brisbane have got the bit between their teeth at the moment. Aldred. It's doing enough for the moment just to frustrate Roar as they try to unlock the NPL defence. Eventually they come up with the ball. Well played by the NPL side.
It's all a bit sloppy from Brisbane Roar. Trying to keep possession, but the passing's not crisp. Knights are hunting in packs. Trying to get themselves back in this game as time starts to run out for them.
Nepomuceno. A really handy influence since coming on as a substitute. It's a poor turnover though. Markowski. He was on the run, but didn't bring the ball with him. Nepomuceno. Brisbane swift to get back. Now it's with Nepomuceno. And it's a throw. Towards the final 15 minutes of the semi we go. Still sitting on the 1-0 scoreline that has been holding ever since Thomas Waddingham tapped it past Chris Oldfield. Let's not forget, as we see another free kick for the Knights, that they were behind at a very similar juncture of the game in the quarterfinal against Heidelberg. And it was around this time where their fans started to get up and about and get behind them, and we might be seeing shades of something similar here. Still a big task to breach the A-League's defence as it's swung in by Dazelle towards the back post. Kept alive. Brisbane wants a handball, and that is exactly what they get. Louis Zabala appealed and in the end was rewarded.
That was better, wasn't it? It was Dazelle. Good free kick in. Nepomuceno at the back. That's where they've probably the only time they're going to hurt them is on the set piece.
Miliosnic, hasn't he been a thorn in the side of this Knights defence in the second half? To Gamulka. Mid-season signing last year from City. His cross, can't find any teammates in the middle. Zabala will have another crack from the far side. Aldrin. Jack Ingett had a look over his shoulder. Didn't see that there was a runner next to him, and the reason why is that Nikola Miliosnic, who would have otherwise been in that position, was on the turf. And just suffering with what looks to be a bit of cramp. There was no doubt that as he received that ball earlier, his pace had slowed. Perhaps Ross Aloisi, who's not looking best pleased on the touchline at the moment, might be thinking about a change.
Well, in the first half, he was sat out on the chair. Now he's moved himself back into the dugout, so maybe that's telling us something.
And we didn't have to wait long to see what he was thinking, Ross Aloisi. The substitution comes through straight away. It's assistant coach Luch Trani who's giving Ayon Majok his instructions to replace Nikola Miliosnic, who will leave. And I don't think he wanted to at the side where the Melbourne Knights fans are amassed. Comes Ayon Majok. His third substitute appearance in the Australia Cup campaign. We only saw flashes of him last season. 3 appearances in the A-League men's, but he's been around the traps at a couple of A-League clubs now, including Western United. He has got the talent. Of a sporting moment after the foul between Lars Anton Kinander and Tom Aldred. Over the top for Markovski, but the flag was up for offside. As you mentioned in the first half, David Clarkson, one of the great equalising factors about this Australia Cup, the positioning of the Cup, as it's right at the tail end of the NPL side season. It's at the start of pre-season for the A-League sides. The fitness starts to make a difference. But ostensibly, this is the end of the year for Knights. You have to wonder how soon they'll swing the kitchen sink at it. Majok, a swing and a miss. Make sure, though, if they are to pull something off here, a cup set, got to keep Raw at bay. I do think how soon they might start to throw the numbers forward.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine it's too far away now. It's make or break time. We're certainly getting towards that. And Raw obviously are looking to probably more see this game out now and get themselves into a final.
Of course, Sydney FC await on the other side. If it is Brisbane Roar who go through, there will be a draw to decide hosting rights for the cup final. There are a lot of logistics involved in making it happen, but you can see the effects of what hosting these cup ties bring, and the Roar haven't had the opportunity to host too many of them in years gone by. Quarter-final against Western Sydney was their first in a while. And Melbourne Knights, they look to find this equalising goal. Not going to die wondering. Emptying the clip off the bench. And there's a big returning player here in Corey Sewell, who spent the back end of the NPL season injured, a former grand finalist under Ben Khan at Olympic. He's back from injury. And Ivan Franjic is joined by his younger brother Joey.
Nice.
Makes his way off the bench. Playing together across two clubs now. Heidelberg United last season, Melbourne Knights this, but this was the club where they were both juniors, both got their start. It's really interesting listening to Ivan Franjic talk about the season and the fact that he gets to play with Joey, a long-time dream. It's part of the reason he keeps going, and you can understand why.
Absolutely. Nice moment for the family. Be even nicer if they can get themselves a goal.
Switch of play judged nicely by Phelps. So Ivan Franjic will have to specify for what remains of the game now. Of course, we were denied seeing two brother combos today, courtesy of Henry Hoare's suspension for Brisbane. One is going to break kindly for Aon Majok. Fast feet from the Raw wide man. Able to con Ben Collins into the foul. Clever work from the number 99.
Yeah.
Or anything to go by, we're set for a grandstand finish. The Knights score a lot of their goals late, so too though did Brisbane Roar last season, and will get a chance to keep that going at this corner. A quarter of all their goals last year came in the final 15 minutes. Knights for their money scored 13 in the late stages, and that doesn't include the stoppage time heroics of the quarterfinals. On the edge of the box, Gamulka can't clear the sea of legs. It was Joey Franjic with the stoppage, and Albano, John Albano, the West Australian, with a chance to run. But Gamulka was clever, and Joey Franjic was a little bit snippy, and it's just kicking off here a little bit on the broadcast side. Joey Franjic is going to go into the book. I don't think, as much as he may have had a bit of a to and fro with the Raw players thereafter, that he can have a great deal of complaints about it.
Well, he's come on to make an impact, and he's done that. He's gone straight through the back, Tom Aldred there. And quite deservedly, oh, it's a horrible tackle. He's gone in the book.
When Ben Khan asks Joey Franjic for an impact sub, I'm not sure that's quite what he had in mind.
Well, he's left his mark. He's left it right down the back of his right calf.
Even if it does come to an end at the hands of their first A-League opponent, Melbourne Knights had a fantastic cup campaign. So too of the Raw, looking to seal their cup final spot. Jonas Markovski will feel Wheels for the throw.
Is there a twist in the tail, Lockie? You've called NPL games all season. Is there one coming in this one?
Well, the Knights, they are the late show specialists in the competition in NPL Victoria. They showed it. 91st minute equaliser, 96th minute winner against Heidelberg. But you never say never in the Australia Cup. Markovsky was clever. It was a clattering of bodies. It looked as though he'd done everything by the book, Jonas Markovsky. It's Ben Collins who ends with the free kick.
Interesting one. Had a handful of Collins shirt. I'm assuming that's why it was a free kick.
The Knights fans on their side steadying themselves for one final push. This is it for their season, unless they can progress to the final. But right now, they're not quite getting the rub of the green. It's an unfortunate handball against Lars Kinander. If he's willing to contest the decision, I think Tom Aldred, conscious of the time at Choose Away, is all too happy to oblige. Hasn't been quite the swashbuckling approach from Brisbane Roar in this game as it has been in previous instances, previous rounds, but you would imagine, should they go through to the semi-final, or the final rather, from the semi-final to face Sydney, they will go in with a great deal of confidence that they can take out the Australia Cup for the first time.
Yeah, never really quite got going this game. And Roar obviously coming off the back of a terrific win at home, travelling to Melbourne, albeit NPL opposition.
Markovsky picked the pocket of the Roar defence.
Oh.
And in the end, it is he who heads into the book. Strong coming together as he attempted to win back the ball. Ben Collins has been a warrior for the home side today.
Oh yeah, he did catch him. See that trailing right foot, Markovsky.
Corey Sewell.
There's another one.
It's been stop-start in the last couple of minutes. Lots of clumsy fouls, maybe a couple of signs of fatigue on display.
Certainly looks that way, Lockie, and Raw wouldn't be disappointed that it's not end-to-end at this point.
Well, the good thing is for Melbourne Knights, it may not be over yet, even if Corey Sewell has allowed Raw to chew a few more seconds away, because Ben Kahn and his side are, we're hearing, going to get 6 minutes of additional time to work with. And when Ross Aloisi sees the fourth official board come on, he might not be such a happy man. He's led a very impressive Australia Cup campaign, back in an A-League's head coaching role. The first time since 2015. He's the head coach of Adelaide United's A-League women's program.
Good to see him back in the country.
It really is.
Yeah, terrific manager. Was a great player.
Sewell. Again, an errant touch. Jonas Markovsky just sticking close by the Knights' defence. Here's John Albano, but ran out of real estate as the ball headed towards the line. Going to need to draw on whatever reserves of energy and enthusiasm they have, Knights, if they're going to find the levelling goal, which would take us to an extra 30 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Or have only been to extra time twice in the Australia Cup. And Knights are looking to make it a third. Nepomuceno Couldn't clear the bodies, but the reason why is because there was a little bit too much attention defensively being paid to him, and not to the liking of Daniel Elder. The yellow card for Florent Berenguer, just the earlier infringement.
Was another good position here for Knights. Though it's straight, it's like he'll just dink this into the far post. Got to get something from this.
Now or never for Melbourne Knights. It's a long way out. Nepomuceno will hope to turn provider. Great ball. And yeah, I'm sorry, Ivan Franjic, but I know you want to score desperately, but you can't do it like that.
It's a disappointing free kick, really. Just overhit. Just got to put it in an area where it can be attacked, cause some problems. And their set pieces tonight have been disappointing, Melbourne Knights. They've had quite a few, whether it be haven't cleared the first man or overhit. And as we know, in games like this, it's so important to deliver those set pieces.
How important is the home faithful in these 6 stoppage time minutes?
Well, I don't know, they can win the game for them, but they can certainly get up and about and give their team what they can.
O'Shea over the top for Parsons. He spurned a glorious chance to make it 2-0 Raw. Is this his chance to atone? Oh, it looks like he's going to try and run the ball into the corner. So maybe Ross Aloisi's side just content with defending a 1-0 scoreline. Or at the very least, Cam Parsons is. Mayok strikes on the turn. Alex Parsons, my apologies. He's not going to connect with that ball through the lines from Jay O'Shea. Raw's best today, do you think?
Yeah, I think he's dictated play. It hasn't been the nicest of performances, really, by both teams in midfield, but he's certainly looked to get his foot on the ball where he can. Such a good player, understands the game so well, when to push, just guides the team around the park.
Four minutes left for the Knights to find the leveller. One that would tear the roof off Knights Stadium in sunshine. Probably send our commentary booth shaking. Gamulka couldn't thread the needle for Alex Parsons. Phelps was a little bit careless. Now it's Alex Parsons on the ball. Across for Markovski! Oh, so close. Raw's new man whiskers away from a dream debut.
Wow, what a moment that would have been. Lucky. Great ball in by Parsons there. Strike on the left foot. Terrific save by Oldfield. Push it around the post. Big moment.
Hasn't found the back of the net just yet, Jonas Markovski, but we have seen some promising signs that he might be able to make the jump.
He's looked busy, he's physical. Puts himself about.
At the end of it all, it's a corner for Brisbane Roar, but as you can tell, they're not in a colossal hurry to make anything happen from it in an attacking sense. You can work it out of a situation like this. Melbourne Knights might just be able to pick the space in behind. Seem at this stage, though, we're set for an All A-Leagues Australia Cup final. Gamulka. It's going to go straight back to whence it came, although Berenguer stands it up, but Collins gets it away. And now the runners materialise for the Knights with the crowd at their back. Gian Albano onto the right, switches the play. It's a good leave in the end for Sewell. And now Nepomuceno, one out with Zabala. This is it for the Melbourne Knights.
They've got numbers in the box.
Brunich curls it in. Phelps was there. It's Corey Sewell. He couldn't get the shot away.
What a tackle.
It's a phenomenal challenge to save the day in the Brisbane Roar defence. Let's take another look at this piece of defending.
Great ball in. And what a tackle that is. Two came at him, and then might have been Jack Hingett as well at the death. Wow, that was the moment, Lockie.
And the look on Lars Kinander's face says it all. Disbelief that they didn't get that opportunity as we head into the final minute of stoppage. Time is the friend of Ross Aloisi's side. Prodded forward, and the jock. It's been a tricky customer off the bench. Didn't latch onto that one, but Brisbane Roar will get a free kick from a previous incident. And that will be music to the ears of Ross Aloisi. Towards the flags once more. Markovski this time. Brisbane Roar seconds away. Is there time for one last Melbourne Knights attack? It was the 96th minute where they got the job done against Heidelberg. This would be to keep it alive. Oh, had to be careful. Parsons. Launches it backwards. Eyes start to turn to referee Daniel Elder. Nepomuceno couldn't flick it over the top for Kinander. Last roll of the Knights. For Melbourne Knights. And you can see Daniel Elder pointing to the watch. Collins. This is their season, the Knights. Oh, and it's their season that comes to an end before they can launch the final attack. Well, it hasn't been their swashbuckling best that we've seen from them in the Australia Cup so far, but the belief is certainly back at Brisbane Roar. They are through, courtesy of Ross Aloisi and the winning goal in the first half from Thomas Waddingham to their first ever Australia Cup final. They will face Sydney FC in early October for the right to claim a piece of silverware that has eluded, in years gone by, the multiple-time A-Leagues champions. They didn't have it all their way this evening, but Ross Aloisi has got the result that matters. And David Clarkson, it was a tight old affair. Wasn't much to separate it, but Brisbane got the goal that counted.
Yeah, it was an arm wrestle, wasn't it? Obviously, now Brisbane Roar got themselves in the final, which is wonderful. Congratulations to Ross and his team. For Melbourne Knights, what a terrific cup run. Really incredible. Terrific night. Well done to the Melbourne Knights fans. Turned out in numbers. They'll go home disappointed, but if you look back, they've had a brilliant run. They can be very proud of what the players and the club have achieved. And it's all over.
It is all over. A stunning cup campaign for the Knights comes to an end, but it continues for Brisbane Roar through to the final against Sydney FC. The full-time score here at Knights Stadium: Melbourne Knights 0, Brisbane Roar 1.
Yeah, the Brisbane Roar through to the Australia Cup final for the first time in their history. They will take on Sydney FC on Saturday the 6th or Sunday the 7th of October. We'll find out the exact venue and the time for that game on Tuesday. Football Australia will announce it, but it's a Sydney FC Brisbane Roar final in the Australia Cup of 2023. The Melbourne Knights have given us plenty of joy throughout this competition, making it to the semi-final stage for the first time in their history, but the Brisbane Roar were able to prevail. They did win the old NSL Cup in 1981. They're the Brisbane Football Organisation. They're the one that has merged into the Brisbane Roar now. and they'll get the chance to win the Australia Cup for the very first time. But the Melbourne Knights, the club and these players, Alex Brosk and Daniel McBreen, can be very proud of their run, can't they?
Absolutely. It was a dream run up until tonight, and unfortunately, in A-League opposition and the Raw, who come into this in their own good form, and they weren't at their best tonight, the Raw, but I think that's down to the Melbourne Knights and how they played, and